Hello, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box just below this video. Welcome to a Yarn and Yarns extra. This is part 2 of my Fibre to Finished Object series of videos, and I recorded this over a period of a couple of weeks and have separated it out into a little series of videos rather than one long vlog. So as I say, this is part 2. If you want to see the fibre prep part of the video, then pop back to part 1. And I'm not sure if I say this in this second part of the video, but I just want to reiterate and remind people that I am no kind of spinning expert. This is not meant to be a tutorial. This is just how I have done things for this particular spin. I hope you enjoy the video that you're about to watch. Another wee while has passed since the last segment of the video and this one. I haven't been doing much spinning this week. Since my late teens, I think, I suffered from lower back pain on occasion, and this last week's been one of those weeks. It's nothing serious, it will pass. It usually does, but I haven't been able to find a comfortable position for sitting and spinning. I managed to spin maybe a couple of the rolags that I've made, and it's proving to be an enjoyable but quite a slow spin. As I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to do the long backward draw, which is new for me, and yeah, I'm finding it quite slow. It's meant to be a really speedy way to spin, but I guess as with everything, the speed comes with practice. But yeah, I've got my big pile of fluffy rolags. I'm gonna see how much I can get done while I sit in the sun this afternoon. If the weather forecast is to be believed, this is the last sunny day we're going to have for a week or so, so I think we'll try and make the most of it. I'm finding this technique really slow, which to you expert spinners out there is probably hilarious, because the long backward draw is meant to be a really speedy way to spin. But I guess with everything else, it comes with practice, doesn't it? Practice and confidence. But I'm going pretty slow at the moment to try and get the technique. I'm finding my yarn is not massively consistent, but I'm not sure if that's partly to do with the prep. Obviously I carded these myself from Fibre and silk waste, so my prep is probably not the best. When I was doing the long draw on the bat that I spun a little while ago from you spinning me a yarn, it was much easier because I could just pull back on the fibre and it was drafting out really nicely, but I guess that's because an expert prepared that bat whereas I am a complete newbie, and particularly the trying to do the backwards draws is something that I'm only just attempting, but it's coming and it's fun, and the yarn's looking pretty nice, so I'm sure it will be fine once it's finished. If you've watched any of my spinning videos before, I usually do a short forward draw, which is a way of spinning worsted spun wool, and a long backward draw is a way to spin woolen spun yarn. I'm still getting used to all of these techniques and these names myself, so as always, my videos are not any sort of tutorial or instructional, they're just how I spin and documenting my learn to spin journey. So yeah, basically, if I just set you up so you can see my hands, I'll explain the difference in the techniques. So if you've seen any of my spinning videos before, I tend to do the short forward. So I'm keeping a grasp of my fibre supply and I'm pulling forward with my front hand and then smoothing back down the yarn to create a nice kind of smooth, fairly tightly spun yarn. But for the long backward technique, basically I'm letting twist up into my fibre supply, and that is going to help me create a lighter, more airy, open yarn. So I'm still pinching at the front, but I'm letting go more often, and as I say, letting the twist up into my fibre supply. And then with this hand, I'm going to pull back gently on the yarn and create my yarn sort of back here. So pinching, pulling back, pinching, pulling back. Can you see? My arm is going backwards and backwards and backwards. My yarn is not super consistent. I'm having to sort of second draft some of it, so there's quite a big, thick, slubby bit here, so I need to sort of pull that out slightly. But I'm not massively worried about consistency at the moment. This yarn is about practice, and it's fun to practice on this stuff that I carded up myself. So yeah, I'm pulling back, and then every so often letting the fibre supply run onto the bobbin. So pinching at the front here, pulling back, and letting the yarn wind on. I'm sure any of you out there who are spinners and are adept at this technique are probably laughing at my inefficiency right now. So yeah, hopefully you can see on the bobbin here, the yarn is quite fuzzy and open and airy, and it's quite different to this other bobbin that I have here. I think if I put them together, you can probably see the difference. This is worsted spun, so short forward draw. It's a blue face Leicester yarn, and one strand of that, if I can hook one up on my finger, is quite sort of tight and compact, as opposed to strands that you can see heading onto that bobbin there. I have finished spinning all of that lovely naturally coloured fibre, and I managed to do it all long draw pretty much, so I'm pretty pleased with myself, pretty proud of myself. So I'm going to two-ply it, I think. Can you hear the sound of that lovely rain in the background? I hope you can. Anyway, easily distracted. So I'm going to wind this off of the bobbin now onto a centre pull ball, and then just ply it back on itself. I think that's going to be the most straightforward way for me to finish off this yarn. So I need to wind that yarn into a centre pull ball, and I do have the spinning tool that's known as a lazy Kate, which is basically some form of contraption. They come in different forms, where you can attach your bobbin so that it spins freely, and you can wind your yarn off of the bobbin, or you can ply from your lazy Kate if you've got several bobbins worth of yarn. My lazy Kate is downstairs at the moment, and I am feeling like a lazy Ange and don't want to go down and get it. Mostly not because I'm lazy, but James is working downstairs and I try not to disturb him. So I have something else that can help me do the job that I need to do up here, which means I don't need to go and get my lazy Kate. So I thought I'd show you my makeshift lazy Kate. Okay, so basically this is my makeshift lazy Kate. And I have an old shoebox, as you can see, through which I have punched a couple of holes, and then I have some straight knitting needles that I can skewer my bobbin, so the knitting needle must be able to fit through that sort of central hole in your bobbin. So I can stick my knitting needle, it's a bit awkward because I'm trying to do it with one hand and hold the camera with the other, through that hole. I'm going to move that one out of the way. Slide my bobbin on and then push the knitting needle through and into the hole the other side, and I'm going to push it right through because it's kind of makeshift lazy Kate. I find sometimes the needle moves around because it's not sort of fixed. So yeah, basically I can now wind my yarn. This bobbin twizzles around freely on that knitting needle, and I can wind my yarn off into a centre pull ball. That is one giant cake of yarn. Doesn't that look great? And I'm happy to say it survived the winding off process, no breaks or snaps, so I'm really pleased with that. Shoebox Kate did the job, and I think it just goes to show, if you want to dabble in spinning but you've been put off by the thought of having to own all of the tools, and that can quickly add up and be quite expensive, there are things that you can do to help yourself when you first start spinning that don't really cost any money at all. I'm really looking forward to playing this up. I love all of the specks of colour in this yarn from that silk waste that I blended through. Isn't that a pretty skein? I've just started plying the yarn, so I thought I'd show you a little bit more what I'm up to. So I have put the centre pull ball down next to me in a basket that I have, so I'll show you that in a bit. And I'm just going to spin my wheel in the opposite direction to which I made my singles. So my singles were made spinning my wheel in the clockwise direction. I'm just going to go anti-clockwise to twist 2 strands together from the inside and the outside of that ball that I made earlier. So I'm just going to give my wheel a push in an anti-clockwise direction, and then I'm going to get going with my treadling. And my wheel, you might notice, has a slight warp to it, so it looks like it's wobbling as I'm spinning, but I promise you it's nice and stable. So I am keeping a finger between my 2 strands back here because I want to stop them twisting together as much as I can before the point that I actually want them to twist together, if that makes sense. So I don't want them to sort of tangle up behind me, so I'm trying to keep a finger in the centre of my 2 strands there, to try and stop that happening. I'm just letting the wheel do its thing. So I'm just treadling away with my feet and letting the yarns twist together from both ends of the ball, and letting that feed up onto the bobbin that's on my wheel. It's quite a nice relaxing process. Just trying to keep my treadling speed fairly constant, so that I'm getting roughly the same amount of twist in each piece of yarn that I pull forward and let go up into the bobbin. So hopefully you can see that my cake's just nestled in my basket. This has got James's cardigan that I'm supposedly knitting. So the cake's just hanging out there while I continue the job of plying. As I'm still really a newbie with regards to doing this long draw woolen technique, I really don't know if there is a sort of preferred or better way to ply these yarns amongst woolen spinners. I literally have no idea, so I'm just kind of going with a 2-ply because that's kind of straightforward really. If you are a woolen spinner and you have preferences for how you like to apply your yarns. I'd be really interested to know what they are, because I always like to hear from other crafters, and I'm also always looking to expand my own knowledge and abilities. I've left this a bit late in the day, so the light's not the best, but this is the yarn now it's been plied. I think it looks quite pretty. Looking forward to knitting with it, but first I just need to give it a soak, and so the yarn can rest and relax and the twist can get set.